Let me tell you something curious about silence in the digital era. We live in a world that documents everything. Every cup of coffee, every sunrise, every heartbreak polished through a filter. The internet has turned life itself into a stream of highlight reels. And yet, in the middle of all that noise, there are people who choose to remain unseen. They scroll, they observe, they absorb, but they almost never post. You might even know someone like that. Or maybe, quietly, that person is you. And the question always lingers. Why? Why stay invisible when everyone else is fighting to be noticed? It's easy to say they're shy, or private, or just not into social media. But that's only the surface. Beneath the quiet is something far deeper. A psychology of restraint, perception, and quiet rebellion in a world obsessed with performance. For some, silence isn't emptiness, it's power. It's the freedom to choose what remains untouched by the crowd. Because whether we like it or not, social media rewired how we define ourselves. It rewards exposure, it celebrates noise. But those who stay silent, they're the ones who see with clarity. They notice the patterns. They reflect before reacting. They listen before speaking. Psychologists have noticed this too. People who share less online often score higher in traits like self-awareness, emotional independence, and introspection. They're less prone to comparison, less hungry for approval. They aren't curating who they are, they're discovering it. And in a culture built on validation, that's revolutionary. Let's be honest. Most of what we post isn't communication, it's self-presentation. Every story, every caption says, "This is who I am, please agree." But when you stop performing, something shifts. You stop chasing digital applause. You stop thinking in captions. You start living for yourself again, not for the lens. That's the quiet psychology behind the ones who rarely post. They aren't rejecting the internet. They're rejecting the performance of self. They crave something real in a place that rewards illusion. Not antisocial, not anti-technology, just unwilling to flatten their life into highlights. Because once you've seen how easy it is to sculpt perception, you start treasuring what can't be staged. Stillness, imperfection, truth. For some, that silence comes after burnout. Maybe they once shared everything, until it stopped feeling like sharing and started feeling like acting. They realized every moment posted came with invisible pressure to outdo the last. And somewhere along the way, life became a script. So, they exited, quietly. No announcement, no farewell post, just a slow fading from the feed. But here's the thing people misunderstand. Not posting doesn't mean not feeling. It doesn't mean apathy. Often it's the opposite. They care so much about meaning that they protect it. They've learned that once something is shared, it becomes public property, open to judgment, distortion, misunderstanding. In psychology, there's a concept called psychological ownership. That sense that an experience belongs deeply to you. When you post it, that ownership dilutes a little. The moment no longer lives fully in you. It becomes communal, dissected, consumed. So, some people protect their moments like sacred spaces, untouched, private, whole. Maybe that's not loneliness. Maybe that's peace. Because think about it. When was the last time you lived something meaningful without the urge to prove it happened? When was the last time you didn't reach for your phone after joy, or grief, or awe? That impulse to share, to display, it's not instinct. It's programming. Years of likes, hearts, and shares have trained us to equate attention with worth. So, when someone steps out of that system, it looks like rebellion. But really, it's recovery. They begin to live again. Cooking without photographing, traveling without tagging, feeling without explaining. And in that space, something awakens. A quiet self that doesn't need witnesses to exist. But not everyone's silence comes from peace. Sometimes it's born from fear. Fear of judgment, rejection, or misinterpretation. Social media has created a subtle anxiety psychologists call self-presentational pressure. The constant awareness of being watched, even when you're not. It's exhausting. So, some retreat. Not because they don't want to connect, but because the cost of being visible feels too high. There's something philosophical in that silence. In a world screaming, "Look at me," choosing invisibility becomes an act of identity. It says, "I exist beyond your perception." They understand something most forget. Not everything meaningful is meant to be witnessed. Growth, grief, healing, transformation. These things happen in private, unshared, unfiltered. And when you've lived through enough of those unseen evolutions, you realize that being unseen doesn't make you insignificant. It makes you real. Because, in the end, we weren't made to be performances. We were made to be people. And maybe those who remain unseen are simply the ones who found a quieter, truer way to exist.